Hello, Internet! It has been a while since I put anything VGC related on this channel, but we're here, we're back. I've got a really cool best of 3 to show you, and I hope you're going to enjoy it. Hopefully you've been enjoying the NBL stuff with Cybertron too. But we've just had the regional championships in Birmingham, and the day before they hosted a mid-season showdown as well, where a few people entered some pretty wild teams as well. And this game is from the top 4 of that tournament. And I do like this game because it reminds me a lot of VGC 16, actually. And, maybe some of you are rolling your eyes now. Oh, no, not VGC 16, Obviously, I did well at Worlds, and I've not really played any games of Pokemon that have taken me back mentally to playing through day 2, I suppose day 1 of Worlds as well last year. Mind games, predictions, all sorts of stuff going on in your head like that. So I really enjoyed this game. It is a little bit of a sort of similar matchup. We've both got similar-ish kind of teams. If you have been watching my YouTube in the past, then you'll know my pioneering Smeargle circuitry team. I did have Trevenant on it, but for this tournament and the regional, I thought I'd try and be a little bit more serious and swapped the colour of the team, swapped the Trevenant out for Kartana. My opponent has got Smeargle circuitry and Arcanine too, but he's got Tapu Bulu instead of the Tapu Lele that I've got on my team. He has got Nihiligo on his team, and he has got Buzzwole on his team as well. So we have got kind of similar teams. I can kind of see what he's going for too, because it's just like my team. It's just that he's got the Bulu there to get rid of the Finny terrains and the Cocoa terrains so it can spore and all the rest of it too. I had been given a little bit of information before this game as well that his Tapu Bulu was scarfed, so that was good information going into this, but I didn't really have any other information than that really. So let's jump into this. Let's see how it goes. There we go. Video is playing. And yeah, I really enjoyed this game. Really enjoyed it. So hopefully you will enjoy my thoughts going through this too, as I'm going to post and narrate it, as you probably guessed by now. So I'm leading, quite a standard kind of lead, I guess, with Lele and Arcanine, and my opponent actually goes with Smeargle and Circuitry, which is pretty interesting because normally I'm the one leading with Smeargle and Circuitry all the time. I don't feel too happy in this position because his Circuitry can easily just set up, but the last thing I want to do is get one of my Pokemon asleep and mess around, with sleep turns and all the rest of it. Worst case scenario, if his Circuitry does set up, I have got a Lele in Psychic Trade, and I have got an Arcanine, and I have got a Z move on this Arcanine that can threaten the Circuitry quite nicely too. So actually, this turn 1, he protects his Circuitry, which is absolutely fine by me, because I do actually double into his Smeargle. So turn 1 could not have gone any better for me. Really, really, really good turn 1. Just doubling into the Smeargle. I don't have to worry about Spore, I don't have to worry about Follow Me, all the rest of it. I was sort of thinking about going for like a Dazzling Gleam and a Flare Blitz into Smeargle there, just to sort of, in case the Circuitry didn't protect, just to get a bit of chip damage onto that too. But I did go for the Psychic, even though that was overkill on the Smeargle, just because I didn't want to be locked into Psychic. I didn't want to be locked into Dazzling Gleam, because if I do want my Lele to be threatening this Circuitry the next turn, Dazzling Gleam doesn't really do that, Psychic does. So turn 1 could not have gone any better for me. How is this game going to go wrong? Well, is it? Let's see. So he puts his Tapu Bulu in, and I do know that it is choice Scarfed. So I'm thinking, okay, either he is going to Horn Smash? Woodhammer? That's the one. Woodhammer into my Tapu Lele. Or he's probably got Stone Edge, seeing as it's a Scarfed one. So I'm thinking he might be trying to go for a Stone Edge on my Arcanine, seeing as my Lele might not want to stay in without its terrain anymore. So I'm thinking, what can really go wrong if I just attack into what's in front of me here? So let's see what happens. He actually just withdraws his Bulu straight away and puts his Arcanine in there. So that was actually a really nice move by my opponent, because, it works on lots of levels, because one, like, it acts as a bait, so that if I, maybe he knew about my Fire Z move on Arcanine, it would burn that, even if not, it would get rid of, a waste of a Flare Blitz from me into the Tapu Bulu slot. Gets the Intimidate on my Arcanine as well, in case I was trying to double into his Circuitry too. But also, it worked in the way that if he knew that I knew his Bulu was Scarfed, I might be threatened, I might be switching one of my Pokemon out as well. And so he could, maybe I'm switching Lele out, he can switch his Bulu back out so he can get his terrain back in the future too. So I liked his play there. It worked a lot in lots of ways. And like I said, I'm just going to attack what's in front of me. This psychic damage is quite important. It looks like it's about sort of 70%, doesn't it there? So it's nice to, you want to keep that in mind. And yeah, I'm wasting my Z move here. Maybe a little bit reckless with the Z move, but I thought, well, Flare Blitz might not, I'm not adamant at all on this Arcanine. I'm not, it doesn't hit as hard as some Arcanines can. So I thought going for the Z move would be safe, just in case he does leave his Bulu in. Just to make sure I get the one shot on it, basically. And he does use this turn to set up with his tail, though. So, it's not looking too bad for me, even still. Like, even though my Arcanine's intimidated, even though he has set up his Xurkitree here as well. So let's just get this Grassy Terrain going through. There we go. Okay, so next turn, like, we saw Psychic did, about, 65-70% to his Xurkitree. So, I mean, really, I could go just for a Psychic into that and knock it out. Maybe withdraw my Arcanine. Or I can try and make some predictions and attack into his Arcanine instead. Because, surely he's going to protect his Xurkitree here, right? Surely. But, yeah, I do withdraw my Arcanine. I guess I want the Intimidate in the future. Smeargle does help as well. Like, I do bring my Smeargle here. Strange to bring it in the back instead of leading with it too. And I do Psychic into the Arcanine, just expecting his Xurkitree to protect. Now, my opponent, maybe he was thinking that, I'm in a really bad position here. I need to just try and make some plays, just roll a dice. Well, not roll a dice, but, just make a wild move that if it works out, it's going to, bring me back into the game. And if it doesn't, then, I've lost anyway. And he made the right call. He didn't protect his Xurkitree. Maybe it would have been safe. Well, obviously, it would have been safe for me to just Psychic into his Xurkitree there. So I was a little bit disappointed that I didn't take advantage of the good position that I was in. But even though I played that turn wrong, I suppose you could say, especially on hindsight, I'm still not in the worst of positions as he does Thunderbolt into the incoming Smeargle. He obviously wanted to get rid of my Arcanine there. So, some more grassy terrains, and as far as I'm concerned, this next turn is a really simple play. Because I have actually got Fake Out on my Smeargle. I don't know how many Smeargles do actually have Fake Out, but I've got Fake Out on mine. My Lele, does obviously outspeed both of his Pokemon. I don't think an extreme speed from his Arcanine will knock out my Lele from where it is. So I can just go for a Fake Out and a Psychic into his Xurkitree, and there's no real, nothing that can really go wrong from doing that, basically. He double protects, so, I know they've got Protect now, I suppose. And everyone heals back a little bit more health. I suppose the key thing about this turn is I do reveal that I've got Fake Out on my Smeargle. So, and that is actually going to be a bit of information coming up in the next game too. So, we're all healed back. Looking at the range that Xurkitree is in there, I do still think another Psychic will knock it out. Because we saw the first one did, about 65-70%, didn't it? So I'm pretty sure the Psychic is going to knock it out from here. And Smeargle is, free to do Smeargle stuff too. So, what happens? I withdraw my Smeargle. I put Arcanine in for the Intimidate. I suppose at this point, well, actually what does happen here? I'm pretty sure I know what happens, but I want to watch it too. Yeah, he withdraws his Xurkitree and puts his Tapu Bulu in, which I do Psychic into. I'm not going to mess around, his Xurkitree has set up, so I'm not going to mess around with that. He does actually Extreme Speed into my Smeargle, which he did need to do, because if I left my Smeargle in, I could have just spored his Arcanine. I think I probably would have seen with the Grassy Terrain, I think you can see with Grassy Terrain speed it is, can't you? So I think I probably would have seen that my Smeargle, I'm pretty sure, did outspeed his Arcanine, so I could have just gone for a Spore into that slot. So he kind of did have to Extreme Speed there, and I do just Psychic straight into what was the Xurkitree. So he's lost his Tail Glow boost there, and that does do over 50% to his Tapu Bulu as well, which is key, because it means another one can knock it out. So he's lost his boosts, he's let his Tapu Bulu take all this damage, and I don't know at this point if he knows my Tapu Lele is Scarfed. He might not know that. So, he might be feeling really comfortable here with his Bulu. And switch my Arcanine out. I want him to Intimidate again in the future. Bring my Smeargle in, because I don't think Smeargle's really going to get any use out of this game. I just Psychic into the Tapu Bulu and knock it out. Critical hit, obviously, doesn't matter there. It goes down, and he, in return, knocks out my Tapu Lele, I do believe. So we're down to an interesting position. He is down to his last 2 Pokemon. He's got his Arcanine and he's got his Xurkitree left. And I've got my Smeargle, I've got my Arcanine, I do believe, and I've got this mystery Pokemon in the back as well, which he doesn't know yet because I've not revealed it. But I know it's Kartana, and I know that this Arcanine is potentially going to be a problem. So I need to take care of this Arcanine. I do intimidate his Arcanine again, so I'm pretty sure his Arcanine is at -2 now. And just like, a couple of turns ago, I'm not going to mess around. I'm just going to do a pretty straightforward play. Just going to go for a Fake Out and the Flare Blitz into the Xurkitree, just like I did, with the Fake Out and the Psychic the turn before, or a couple of turns before too. Because I do think that my Flare Blitz is in range. It is going to potentially knock his Xurkitree out. I mean, look at that amount of HP. Like I was saying, my Arcanine isn't like adamant. But from my own Xurkitree calculations, I do think that my Flare Blitz has got a decent chance of knocking his Xurkitree out. But I'm not sure I can do anything else, really, other than just try and Spore something, try and Flare Blitz and knock his Xurkitree out. So, let's see. So he does Extreme Speed, so he's not letting my Smeargle do anything. Smeargle couldn't have done anything else that turn. Didn't really want to bring my Katana in on that, I suppose. And I Flare Blitz into his Xurkitree thinking, well, if I don't knock it out, then it's going to be really low, and, we'll still have the game. But, oh dear, what's this? Yeah, it kind of escaped my mind that he could have had one of these horrible 50% berries, and he's recovered all that HP now, and now he knows that I've brought Katana in the back. And actually, this is a pretty sticky situation for me, because he can Extreme Speed my Arcanine if he wants to. I can Leaf Blade his Xurkitree, because his Xurkitree is bound to be in Leaf Blade range, but that doesn't really make any difference, because if I don't take care of his Arcanine, my Katana is not going to be winning this game. And my Kartana does actually have Z Fighting on it, so if I hadn't used my Inferno Overdrive, potentially an all-out pummeling could have knocked out his Arcanine here too. But I have to hope that this Helping Hand, Sacred Sword, knocked his Arcanine out. Interesting how many Arcanine use Helping Hand now too. I've been using it for ages, but anyway, there we go. So a Sacred Sword into his Arcanine, and it doesn't knock it out, unfortunately. He Flare Blitzes into my Kartana, and I survive on 5 HP. He knocks himself out to recoil, so I didn't expect the survival there. He was at -2, but even still, that's a ×4 super effective hit. And he actually Thunderbolts into my Katana as well. He actually doubled into it with a Flare Blitz and a Thunderbolt, which I suppose was a little bit risky, but I don't know, it worked out from there, obviously. He made the right move, obviously, too. Maybe he suspected his Flare Blitz wouldn't knock me out, I don't know. But either way, he did knock out my Katana. If he did Thunderbolt into my Arcanine there, it would have been my Katana left one-on-one versus his Xurkitree, and I'm pretty sure it would have been in Leaf Blade range, would have knocked it out. But now we're left in this situation where I've got my Arcanine on very low HP, and he's got his Xurkitree just a little bit lower than what it was at before I activated that 50% berry. So I still think there's a chance that, I can get, a roll, maybe just a little bit of a higher roll, knock out his Xurkitree here. And, I have got critical hit chances too to potentially win this game. So I go for a Flare Blitz, hoping, and there it goes, and it actually survives. So, thinking back to turn 1, it could not have gone any better for me. I doubled straight into his Smeargle, knocked it out, no problem, and, I've really made the mistake by not just going for a Psychic straight into his Xurkitree. I predicted it to protect, and I didn't need to, just because I wanted some extra damage on his Arcanine. I suppose maybe in the back of my head I might have been thinking if I get more damage on the Arcanine, then my Katana, which he hasn't seen, has got a better run through too. But remembering that I led with Arcanine and Lele in the first game, and he led with Smeargle and Xurkitree in the first game, I'm thinking he's probably going to go with his Nihilego here. And actually, Nihilego does give my team a little bit of a problem, and that's one of the reasons why I added Kartana as well in place of Trevenant. So I am actually pretty scared of his Nihilego, and as we can see, this is like the team preview of Game 2, I guess. I did predict it to come, and it did actually come. So this is Game 2. So obviously, I'm feeling pretty annoyed that I've lost that Game 1 after the wonderful turn 1 that we had. But I'm going to mix things up. I'm not going to go with, Arcanine, Lele like I did last game. I'm actually going to go with Smeargle and Kartana here. Because if he goes with Smeargle Circuitry again, we can, do speed ties and all the rest of it, all that wonderful Smeargle stuff. And, if he does go with his Circuitry, he shouldn't be able to knock me out with a Thunderbolt. I can do a lot of damage with Leaf Blade. If he does go with Nihilego, like I actually did think he might, then I will be in a really good position too. So, now this is where the mind games come in. This is the part of Pokemon, like competitive Pokemon, that I really love. Like this stuff like this really does take me back to Worlds last year, especially with Smeargle and Xerneas and all the rest of it. In game 1, I showed I had Fake Out, and I did say that was going to be significant at the time. I did show I had Fake Out. I didn't know if his Smeargle had Fake Out or not. I don't think Smeargle tend to have Fake Out this format. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I'm not too clued up on that, but I thought there was a higher chance he would have Spiky Shield instead. And because I showed Fake Out turn 1, I'm thinking his Smeargle maybe doesn't have Fake Out. I don't want to go for a Fake Out into his Spiky Shield, because then I would lose my Sash. And Smeargle is, going to be quite... I mean, Smeargle's always important, but I don't want to break my Sash, and I don't want to lose my Smeargle early on. So, actually, I don't go for a Fake Out. He withdraws his Nihilego. I've got Smeargle and Kartana in. Nihilego is not going to stay in front of that. Yeah, I know he's got Arcanine on his team, so it's a really, really simple switch for him. So I'm not really threatened by his Nihilego. I'm going to sort of bank on it not being offensive this turn. So I do actually go for a Sword Stance straight away. So I'm at +1 Kartana now. And you can see I don't go for a Fake Out, because like I was saying, I don't want to hit the Spiky Shield. And I guess I'm playing it risky. I'm going for a Spore into his Smeargle. But he wins the speed tie, and he puts my Smeargle to sleep. Now, that's not good. Really not good, because I need my Smeargle awake to use Follow Me, so that he can't just Flare Blitz into my Kartana. He is moody too, and gets an evasion boost as well, and a speed drop. And so I'm feeling like, oh wow, game 1, like I probably should have had that, and game 2, I'm just going to get Smeargled here. So, wonderful, wonderful Smeargle. And, another point as well is I'm not using Moody Smeargle. I really don't like sort of unpredictable, unreliable things like Moody. I know it can win games for you with evasion boosts, speed boosts, all the rest of it, but I just don't really like Moody. Own Tempo is safer, but because I have got a Fake Out, you could put a Case 4 Technician as well. But anyway, the next turn, I just detect my Katana. I want to try and wake up with Smeargle. Even if he does attack into my Smeargle, I know that like his Smeargle can't touch my Smeargle, so I will at least get a chance to wake up here. But actually, I wake up first turn, hit my Spore on his +2 evasion Smeargle, and he does actually go for his Flare Blitz into my detecting Kartana. So that turn 2 could not have worked out any better for me as well. I don't really mind too much about his Smeargle boosts here too, because I do have Sacred Sword on Kartana, which does go through like evasion boosts and defense boosts and all the rest of it as well. I'm pretty sure, yeah, that last turn as well, we saw my Smeargle was definitely faster than his Arcanine too. So I don't have to make any fancy moves here. I know that his Smeargle is guaranteed a turn of sleep here. So I just go for, well, he tries to go for a Follow Me. He uses his sleep turn there. I just go for a Sacred Sword into his Smeargle and a Spore into his Arcanine, because I know that the Smeargle can't wake up. There's no risk of anything going wrong here. And the next turn, as he gets another Moody Boost, but like I was saying, with Sacred Sword, it doesn't really make any difference. I really don't have to predict anything. I just do the same thing the next turn as well. Because if he does get a first turn awake, if he does go for a Follow Me, I'm going to be knocking it out with my Kartana this turn, and I will still just get the Spore onto his Arcanine there too. So I don't have to go for a Follow Me or anything like that. I can just Sacred Sword reliably knock out his Smeargle, which is lovely. He does bring in his Tapu Bulu, so his Arcanine is saved from going to sleep. Obviously, I can't put his Tapu Bulu to sleep, but I'm pretty happy with the situation that I'm in. He does bring in his Kartana again, so after the Beast Boost and this Intimidate, I'm back to +1 again. But I'm not sure if he knew that I knew his Tapu Bulu was Choice Scarfed here, because I do know it's Choice Scarfed. I can make a really safe move here. He does actually go for a Helping Hand, so at this point he's hoping that, I guess he's hoping that I don't know his Tapu Bulu is Scarfed. so he can think that I'm going to be complacent and not go for a follow me here and get the knockout with a superpower. But I'm just, I'm being safe. I'm finally being safe. I go for a follow me, and he knocks me down to a sash. Importantly as well, he's getting -1 boost on his attack and defense. And now I can reveal my Z fighting, and at +1, it does knock out Arcanine in one hit. I don't have to worry about any 50% barriers or anything like that. And this is really why I do like having Sword Stance on Kartana. I know it's a lot more of an offensive option than people have been going with Substitute, but I did come across a couple of Substitute Kartanas that after an Intimidate, they really lacked the punch that they need. So I know it's a bit more offensive, a bit riskier, I suppose. You're running a Sword Stance on Kartana, but with the Z fighting move, it does mean that you can just one-shot Arcanine like that, which is fantastic, because normally Arcanine is an opponent's, one of the few blocks to Kartana, I suppose. The next turn, I can play again really safe. I know that his Smeargle has got the Focus Sash at this point, so I know his Nihilego hasn't got the Sash. I know his Tapu Bulu is scarfed into Superpower, so I can go for a Follow Me, knock out, let my Smeargle go down, and I can just target his Nihilego here too. If he did protect his Nihilego, I do still have my Lele in the back, and I do still have an Intimidate with Arcanine in the back as well. So I know at this game, at this point, the game is locked up. I can Psychic both of these, to one-shot the Nihilego and, do a good, over 50% to Bullet But the game is won at this point, a pretty quick second game, and I'm really happy that I've taken this to a third game. Even a Superpower critical hit here, I would have been safe because I did have, plenty of turns to Flare Blitz and Psychic in the back as well. So this is what, a +2 Leaf Blade Grassy Terrain boosted against a -2, I think, defense. Tapu Bulu, it definitely one-shots it. And we're going into a game 3. And again, this is where mind games come into it. You can see he's actually changing things up again. He's going with his Buzzwole. And I'm changing things up too, as we can see here too. But we're getting into the leads, and this is where mind games come into it even more. So remember, I've got Fake Out on my Smeargle, and I know that he knows that I've got Fake Out on my Smeargle. I've not seen his Smeargle have Fake Out, and I've kind of made the assumption that his Smeargle doesn't have Fake Out. I still think it maybe has Spiky Shield at this point too. So this is a really interesting turn 1. Interesting that he decided to go with Buzzwole here too. But I go with my wonderful patented lead of Smeargle Circuitry, and I actually go for a Fake Out into his Smeargle this turn because he didn't use Spiky Shield last game, and like I was saying, I was really worried that he would Spiky Shield, I would lose my Focus Sash. He didn't do that, so I am wondering, what's going to happen here. I do go for the Fake Out on Smeargle here, and importantly, he's not seen my Circuitry yet. I've not taken it to any games, so let's see what happens here. He actually goes for Fake Out into my Smeargle, so that is really interesting because I do know that it's got a Fake Out now, so I suppose that's one more move on the sort of list that I can cross off that I know it's got. But interestingly enough, my Smeargle flinches first because I was going for Fake Out. So Smeargle flinches, then I go for Tail Glow. So in his head, because he probably, he did think I was going for a Spore that turn instead of a Fake Out. He saw my Smeargle flinch first. He saw my Circuitry move second. In his head, my Circuitry is slower than my Smeargle. So that's really important. I do just set up with Circuitry here too, because I suppose I'm playing a little bit risky at this point. I think that maybe he wants to do the same to me that I did to him in game 1 and get rid of my Smeargle turn 1. I guess I thought if he doesn't Z move into my Circuitry, I should survive just a normal Superpower as well. So he does do the same. He does actually knock out my Smeargle turn 1, but I do get set up this turn instead of, like game 1, turn 1, like he protected his Circuitry, I actually boosted mine up. So Smeargle gets its boosts, and I can actually bring in my Tapu Lele now and threaten this Buzzwole pretty hard. Now this is a really interesting turn. So he knows that my Tapu Lele is scarfed, and like I was saying, he saw my Circuitry move after my Smeargle flinched. He hasn't seen my Circuitry in any of the other games, so he has made the assumption that my Circuitry is slower than max speed Smeargle. So he feels safe going for a Spore into my Circuitry here. Now, he withdraws his Buzzwole. I think he puts... Oh, actually, he puts his Buzzwole in here. Now, the play that I'm going for is a little bit risky because I'm assuming at this point he's not... Either he's not got Wide Guard because he has got Fake Out. I'm thinking maybe he's got Fake Out, Spiky Shield, Spore, Follow Me. I don't know if he's got Wide Guard or not. I'm hoping he doesn't. I'm assuming he maybe doesn't. But like I was saying, he has made the assumption that his Smeargle is faster than my Circuitry here, and he feels free to Spore it. But my Lily actually locks into Dazzling Gleam here because I do want to, break the Smeargle sash and get rid of it. And my Circuitry, because my Smeargle was going for a Fake Out and not a Spore, surprises him by outspeeding his Smeargle and knocks it out, and actually knocks his Bullo out with the Dazzling Gleam as well, the +3 Dazzling Gleam, going up to a +5 boosted Circuitry here too. So, that could not have gone any better for me, and I know that seemed like, and this game probably seems like this third game, especially, feels like a little bit of a squash, but I hope that the mind game that I've just sort of talked you through made this third game interesting. It made it interesting to me as well, because we did talk about it a little bit afterwards, like how he did assume that my Circuitry was slower than Smeargle because he thought my Smeargle was going for a Spore instead of a Fake Out in the first turn. I don't feel like I need to do anything here. I can just Dazzling Gleam both of them, knock them out. I know it will knock out his Buzzwole. I know that a Dazzling Gleam from Lily and a +5 Dazzling Gleam from Circuitry will still do a lot of damage to his Arcanine as well. I know that, my Pokemon in the back should be able to take care of this too, but yeah, the game is over at this point. And does he forfeit? Yeah, he just forfeits there. So I hope you've enjoyed this, little talk through of this best of 3. I really enjoyed it. I will, just before you go, I will talk through a little bit about, I guess, my season and the tournament and everything as well, because obviously after the London tournament, myself and quite a lot of other people really did sort of give up on the season. We didn't go to many events. I went to before like a couple of weeks ago, I went to 1 mid-season showdown and 1 regional, and I got 90 points. But after they lowered the bar to 400 here in Europe, I thought, okay, let's have a go at it. Let's see what I can do. I went to the Edinburgh mid-season showdown a couple of weekends ago, and I won that, which was nice, 50 points. This mid-season showdown, actually lost in the final, unfortunately. It was a scald burn, boo. but anyway, I lost in the final, so I got 2nd place in this. That's another 45 points. And in the regional tournament, the main tournament, I actually went 5-2, which is respectable. 5-2 is pretty good. I came 13th overall, so my resistance was pretty decent too. So 13th is not bad. I think that's an extra 60, 80 points, something like that. So I'm at like 200. Like, I'm over halfway to the invite now. But the thing is that I can't really justify spending money to fly to Indianapolis to enter the International Championship, really, because I would still like to go to Worlds just to maybe spectate. I don't know. I don't really want to pay to go to America twice in 1 year, basically. So, after I've said it many, many, many times before, my season is over. I think now I really can say my season is over. But you know what? I went out on a positive regional, had a really good, tournament, I guess. Well, not a really good tournament, it would have been nice to top 8, to, top cut at least, but, I'm pretty satisfied. I know that, I have been really influential this, meta game, even still with Smeargle and Circuitry. People who have been using this team know who they are, so, I can't really complain too much. It's just a shame that I haven't got my invite this year, because historically I've done so well at Worlds. But you know what? It doesn't matter. I hope you've enjoyed this best of 3. I hope you've enjoyed my thoughts. Please like and share. Stay tuned. The Multi-Battle League Round 4 is coming up at the end of the week too. So thanks, guys, and goodbye for now.